Please be reminded that the PGCPS administrative procedures regarding appropriate use of technology, social media, and email continue to apply to our online instruction. In addition, this session may not be recorded without the instructor's consent. A description of the applicable procedures is provided online in the Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook. Hi guys, this week we're going to be talking about collage. Also, how Pablo Picasso and his invention of cubism has a lot of similarities with collage. See, the geometric shapes and layering and mixed media all have to do with collage. See, whether we're taking tiny materials and clippings to create a big picture, or really just altering ones to create a new world, collage can be a fun project. For our own collage, we're going to need these materials: newspaper, magazines, something to cut, like scissors or an X-Acto knife, something to stick it all together. I know we don't all have the same materials at home, but I'd prefer if we kept away from white glue. Otherwise, you might make all your papers wrinkly. Of course, I'm going to need a pencil and something to stick it all to, like project paper. With all these materials, you should be able to make your own interesting collage. This is actually my collage from a few years ago. I actually built it on top of my sketchbook. You can see I took strips of paper, whether they were designs or just colors from backgrounds, images, pieces of text, and even my own little additions, whether it was plant or writing with my own handwriting, to create a collage that keeps the viewer's eye moving. Now, when creating your collage, you of course need to start with project paper. Keep in mind, 8 by 11 is the smallest we can go. You'll need a pencil, especially if you want to sketch your idea out there first, but it's not required. I'm going to gather my clippings first from magazines. Magazines are great because they have so many different images, and you can choose a magazine that you're most interested in. I'm going to find images that catch my eye and tear out the entire sheet or cut it straight out from the image. Something to keep in mind when you're looking for your clippings are color, shape, anything interesting to you. Make sure you're checking the back of the page before you rip it out or cut it, in case there's something on the back side that you are interested in more. Don't forget about text. Collages don't just have to be about image. I'm actually going to look through this pamphlet to try to find a phrase or a meaningful sentence that I can use in my own artwork. Try to find a text that will complement your overall collage. If you want to use something from newspapers, that's great, but please don't be like me. Don't just use pages from the newspaper that have coupons or grocery ads. You don't want something that's shiny, doesn't stick well. But again, it's your collage. It depends on you. Next, before I even bother with obsessing over things being perfect, I'm going to make sure my clippings are cut right. Make sure you're safe with your cutting materials. But do not worry about gluing them on your project paper. Instead, I'm almost going to create like a brainstorm on my paper. By allowing myself to maneuver and arrange these clippings in different ways, I can find out which project outcome I want, how to improve on it, or just scrap it all together if I don't like it. So for example, I didn't really like how that piece was working, so I chose another one that was more colorful, more interesting in my opinion, and put it in its place. If it were glued down, I would have been stressed, but because it wasn't, I was able to change. Now, just because you use an image or background, a color, in one way doesn't mean that you can't use it in another way. So I used the leftover pieces and chopped them up to make more interesting shapes and a range of sizes. I also found a phrase or a quote that was very interesting to me, very heartfelt. So I decided to add it to my collage. But instead of just pasting it on there, I decided to cut up the phrase or the quote into different strips and use images that emphasized words in that quote. Now, don't just get caught up on cutting or using very neat tools. Sometimes it's cool to get a tearing effect. You want to make sure that you're using images that are going to complement each other. As you can see, I have a lot of orange and purple here. Very warm colors that don't seem odd next to each other. I want just about all of my space to be used. No white blank paper showing from the background. I also want to create a design that's going to bring my viewer's eyes from the top of my collage all the way to the bottom. I'm going to glue it down, seal it, and it's finished.